So action cameras, got the DJI Action 2, the GoPro Hero5 Session, the GoPro 10, and the GoPro Max. So for me, like hands down, if I need to get a unique shot, 360 all around, you know, like something creative, something hard to get, and I don't, you know, the camera's moving, whatnot, this is the go-to. I can always go in and post, reframe, find the angle I need, and get the shot. And then that brings up the main downside to this camera, which is editing. The GoPro player has come a long way. It is good, it's gotten way better, and it's still a major pain in the butt to go in and reframe, and to, especially fixing the horizon so it's level, you know, it doesn't have the fishbowl effect either this way or that way. Like, that's very time consuming. It's a main reason I don't use this or don't want to use it anymore. I'm just tired of the editing. It's a real hassle. And if I want to add the GoPro GPS telemetry, you know, speed, distance, this kind of thing, it's another layer of editing, and it just takes forever. So that's the, you know, the big downside. So it's like super powerful, and with power comes a pain in the butt editing. The other thing design wise is, you know, both lenses are exposed. And mine actually broke off a camera pole in the surf and spent the night on the bottom of the ocean getting tumbled in the surf, and both lenses are now scratched and they're not replaceable. So, you know, I'm hosed. My choice is join the GoPro Plus program, pay $100 and be able to get a new one. And I do have a crack in the screen. This happened like a couple weeks ago. I've just had it in the back of the vehicle. I haven't used it in a while. So as far as I know, this is the only 360 camera that is actually legit waterproof. Like, it can handle the rigors of water sports. I've had it out in up to like 10-foot surf, hard wipeouts, you know, dozens, maybe hundreds of sessions. The waterproofing is legit. Like I said, it spent the night on the bottom of the ocean. None of the ports leaked, nothing, you know, water got in, you know, it works perfectly. The other claimed waterproof camera, the Insta360 R or whatever it is, that camera, I had it 6 times, and on the 5 or 6 time out in the surf, not very big, it completely flooded. All the ports were full of salt water, completely ruined. And, you know, I'd only had it for like less than a month, and Insta360, you know, refused the warranty. I had to file a PayPal claim to get my money back, you know, so that was a huge bummer. You know, not the camera for me. So 360 waterproof, this is the one, but the editing is a huge pain. So the new one, the one I was super stoked on, is the DJI Action 2. Tiny, lightweight, no ports, nothing open, there's no expansion slot, nothing. And so waterproofing, you know, I've only used it a handful of times, but there's no way for water to get in. So the waterproofing probably is legit. And then as far as like the first time powered up, the menus feel super snappy, like feels really high tech. It seems like a huge upgrade as far as like specs and user interface from the Session 5, but you know, this is a much older camera, so it's to be expected. You know, design-wise, I cannot for the life of me understand why they made the battery so small. For me, it's completely useless. You know, it's like a killer camera, great specs, does all these amazing things, and then it's completely crippled by a battery that doesn't last worth a damn. You know, I was getting like a half hour using the continuous record, turning it off and on. I'd be out for a half hour and then the battery would die. And I look in the record time, and I got maybe 15 minutes or so of actual footage. So, you know, so what kind of action camera? What good is an action camera if it only lasts a half hour? For me, that's useless. Like, I haven't even gotten warmed up by then. You know, so huge bummer. Because there's no expansion, there's no way to replace the battery, to add another battery. Maybe they'll come out with, you know, something like this that has a little tiny battery pack and you can magnet it on. I don't know. But as it is, it's completely useless for me. I have to meter out, you know, the tiny bit of battery to try to get the action. But you know, in a half hour, I just can't do that. It's a total bummer. And by comparison, the Session 5, I went in and looked at my record times and the timestamps, and I got about 45 minutes of video over the course of about an hour and a half, and that's using the one touch on off to conserve battery. And so, you know, like huge upgrade specs wise, huge downgrade as far as actual usability. So who is this camera for? I have no idea. You know, people who use it in a tripod stationary setting have complained about overheating, so I don't get it. You know, on the screen, Well, it's cool. It's super small, so it's so hard to read to actually try to frame anything. Even the module that comes with it, same tiny screen. So I just design-wise, I'm baffled. I don't know what they were thinking. You know, it's like get rid of the stupid magnets. You know, put a bigger battery in there. I don't need this mount. Is even though it's tiny, it's heavy for what it is. It feels heavy compared to this one. You know, it makes no sense. Why make a tiny little camera and then put magnets and make it out of metal so it has this extra weight? It's just, I just don't get it, you know? And this is actually not as deep as the power module, you know? So just like get rid of all this fluff and just make it useful. Put a bigger battery in here so you can actually use it as an action camera. You know, it's like, I just don't get it, you know? And then as far as the magnets go, like it is bomb proof. I can't see this coming off. You know, I put the lanyard on just in case, but out in the surf, plenty of wipeouts, and no, it doesn't feel like it's going to come off, you know. But again, you know, it's heavy for how tiny it is, and it's useless to me. I don't get it. And I am glad they put the lanyard on there. You know, it's a $500 purchase, and to have it go to the bottom of the seafloor because they didn't put a lanyard on there, you know, so like good job there, awesome. Same with, you know, the Session has one too, and that's the other thing with both the Max and the Heroes. They don't have, there's no lanyard. There's no way to secure the camera, you know. So I'm not sure why they did that. And the other bummer, I mean, it's not an issue for me because I don't do like motorcycles or bikes or cars or, you know, helicopters or anything that's high vibration, lots of movement. But even with this completely clamped down, there is movement in these claw feet. Like, I don't know why they made them so flexible. You know, it's cool that they're replaceable and they're super light. You know, but if I was on a motorcycle or car or something, I'd be super bummed that it's got this high vibration movement. You know, like for me, my movement's more like this, and so it doesn't affect me. I don't see it in the video, but it doesn't inspire confidence that there's this flex. And it's not flex. There's actually, like, the way they designed these little teeth and how it joins together. It's just got movement. You know, it's a weird design issue. And the other thing with this, I was hoping to use the horizon lock, you know, the horizon level, so that it could be like the Max, and I could go in and get a level horizon. But it crops to such an extreme degree that it becomes useless as an action camera. Like, the whole point of, you know, having the horizon level is to capture action that looks smooth and like a drone shot. But the cropped field of view is too narrow to be usable for POV footage. So I'm not sure why, you know, it's kind of a, you know, so then I got the GoPro Hero10 lens Max mod. This works for the 9.2, and then that gives me the same 360 rotational ability and the horizon lock and wide angle, you know, the similar wide angle, whatever it is, 150 degrees as this one without horizon lock or horizon level. And like, the weight difference is ridiculous. Like, this feels heavy. It feels big and heavy. This feels super light, you know, so it's a bummer. I wish that they had, you know, a similar wide angle lens. But even if they had that, it doesn't get around the battery issue. And then if they fix the battery issue, then the next problem is that the included memory is too small. You know, as it is, with only a half-hour battery, I can't fill up the internal storage, even if I wanted to. But if the battery's bigger, I would come up against the problem of filling up the storage. So this is going back. I don't know why they made the design decision they did, but it's useless for me, or it's so limiting that it's not worth $500. And I found myself frustrated that I'm barely warmed up and the battery dies. And then the other thing, I was worried about overheating. Like, people were saying that it gets hot, you can melt cheese, all that stuff. I actually had the opposite problem. I'm out in water temperature that was in the low 50s, and air temperature was in the low to mid 50s. And when I hit the one touch record, a message came up saying the temperature is too low and the screen is going to turn off. And so it was confusing. I'm trying to read this tiny screen out in the surf, like, what, you know, like, what's going on? Why is there a message? And so the screen would turn off, and then it would actually record, but I wouldn't know what was going on. And so I eventually just stared at the screen long enough to figure out, and it told me that the temperature was too low and for that reason, it can't run the screen and record at the same time. You know, but it was very confusing. I didn't know if it was recording or not, so I didn't do any action. I just kind of sat there, and then meanwhile, precious battery life is draining away, and then the battery dies, and so it's just super frustrating that it's so unusable. And so then this is an old camera. The biggest downside is it doesn't have the modern features. It doesn't have the same image stabilization that this does and that does and that Max does, and it doesn't have all the, you know, the 4K high frame rate, 120 and 60 and all that. And so I can't do as much with it, and so I don't use this very often. So, you know, my current solution for wanting a wild field of view, to have easy editing and enough battery life to record what I want to record, and have the higher frame rates and be able to have the flexibility and whatnot, and a screen that's actually usable. Like, I don't need a screen, but like, if you're gonna put a screen on there, make it in this size. Like change the form factor, make this as thin as a pancake and the same size as a credit card, you know, so that the screen, I can actually see it. It's actually usable, you know. When it's this tiny square screen, like, it's worthless. And to have two of them, why have two small, completely useless screens? Like, I don't get it, you know. It doesn't make any sense. Like, make one of them big, you know, actually usable. So the solution is to, if I want all the things I want, to put the GoPro Max on there, the Max mod lens, so I can get wide angle, I can get the horizon leveling, I get enough battery life, enough storage, all that, and, you know, a screen, if I need to use the screen, it's actually usable. And I don't have the temperature issues that I have with the DJI Action 2. And then the files that I get straight out of the camera, I can watch them on my phone, I can watch them on the computer. There's no editing. I get to, like, you know, quick editing and see what I got and figure it out, you know. So it's pain free, even though it's heavy. That's the one downside. You know, so is the Max, but, you know, compared to these two, it's really heavy, you know. And if I scratch the lens, you know, on this, it's $100. At least it's replaceable. You know, I can take it off, I can put the regular lens on there. That's only $20. That's the other thing with this is not replaceable. They make magnetic covers. I have no idea if they're waterproof. You know, does water get in the magnetic covers? Does it fog? You know, like those questions like that, especially if it's putting out a lot of heat, it might fog, you know. So, like, maybe the additional lenses won't work. Maybe they're great. I don't know, but it remains to be seen. And I haven't tested this long enough to know if it's going to fog or not. But the couple times I've used it, it has not fogged, and everything works the way I want it. And I had, you know, the last time I went out yesterday, I had more battery life than I knew what to do with. I only got down to 40%, you know, so it's like, that's huge. That's amazing. That's the way I need it, to come in and still have battery versus to run out halfway through and be bummed. So that's, you know, that's the roundup of what I'm using, why I'm using. You know, like, the idea would be these features in this kind of weight. You know, I don't really care about the size. If it's lightweight, you know, I make it this big or twice as big. I don't care, as long as it's lightweight. You know, I don't want, what's the point of making it small, you know, if it's unusable? I mean, I don't know, maybe it's marketing, it sells, like making it a small package. But love that somebody actually is continuing carrying the torch. You know, GoPro stopped making these in this line a long time ago, but I'm glad that somebody actually sees the value of something like this. I just wish they would get it right. You know, waterproof, awesome. Specs, awesome. But, you know, put a bigger battery in there. Like, what? I don't know what they were thinking. You know, it just makes no sense. And to, like, prioritize this magnetic system over a battery that's actually functional. Like, so it'd be really cool if they fixed all that. And like I said, that, like, this feels very high-tech and intuitive. Just the menu system, the way it powers up and powers down, like, awesome. And that there's a little thing where you can connect the other module and do the SD export, and it transfers the video to an SD card. Like, all that stuff's really cool and really well thought out. You know, I just wish they would apply that kind of progression and smarts to the actual function of the camera. People are actually going to try to use it as an action camera. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Hope that helps.